You know the feeling, don't you? You sit there repeating the affirmations. You visualize every detail. You think about your desire until your head aches with the effort of thinking, and yet nothing moves. The world stays exactly as it is. You look around you and wonder what you're doing wrong, because you're doing everything they told you to do. You're thinking positive. You're holding the vision. You're hurving from morning until night, and still nothing changes. Let me tell you something right now, something Neville Goddard said again and again with increasing urgency in his later years. Thinking isn't enough. It was never enough. You cannot think your way to a manifestation. You can think about a thing for 1,000 years and remain exactly where you are. Thought without feeling is like a seed without soil. It goes nowhere. It produces nothing. And the reason most people fail is not because they lack knowledge, not because they haven't read enough books or listened to enough lectures, but because they are trying to accomplish everything from the neck up. They believe that if they can just get their thoughts right, if they can just hold the right mental picture long enough, reality will bend. But I tell you, that is not how creation works. Creation is not a mental exercise. It is a felt experience. It is something that moves through your entire being, something that takes over your body, something that causes a shift so profound that the outer world has no choice but to reflect it back to you. That is what this episode is about. Not more techniques, not more mental tricks, but how to move the knowing from your head into your body, where it actually creates. Welcome back. If this is your first time here, this channel is dedicated entirely to the teachings of Neville Goddard, one of the most profound mystics and teachers of the 20th century. Everything we explore here is rooted in his words, his methods, and his understanding of consciousness as the only reality. Today we are going directly into one of the most misunderstood aspects of his teaching. You've probably heard that imagination creates reality. You've probably been told to visualize, to assume the wish fulfilled, to live in the end. And you tried. But if you've tried only with your mind, only with thought, then you've discovered that it doesn't work. Not really. Not in the way Neville promised. So today, we're going to go deeper. We're going to talk about why thought alone is empty, why feeling is the secret, and how you actually move a desire from the realm of fantasy into the realm of fact. This isn't theory. This is how creation actually happens, and by the end of this episode, you will know exactly how to do it. Let me start with something Neville said over and over in lecture after lecture, particularly in his earlier years when he was laying the foundation of this teaching. He said that feeling is the secret. He wrote an entire book with that title. And yet most people read that book, nod along, and then go right back to thinking. They think about what they want. They think about how nice it would be. They think about the steps that might lead them there. And all of that thinking produces nothing but more thinking. Why? Because thinking is passive. Thinking is observation. Thinking is you standing outside of a thing, looking at it, considering it, analyzing it. But feeling is participation. Feeling is you inside the thing, living it, experiencing it, being moved by it. When you feel something, your body responds. Your nervous system responds. Your entire being reorganizes itself around that feeling. And that reorganization is what creates. Neville knew this. He knew it from his own experience. And he knew it from watching hundreds of students succeed or fail based on this one distinction. Those who felt, manifested. Those who only thought, did not. It's that simple. Now let me be very clear about what I mean by feeling, because this word gets misunderstood. I'm not talking about emotion. I'm not talking about forcing yourself to feel happy or grateful or excited. That's not what Neville meant. In fact, trying to generate emotion is just another form of thinking. It's effortful. It's forced. It's you, once again, standing outside the experience and trying to produce something. No. The feeling Neville spoke of is the feeling of reality. It is the feeling of naturalness. It is the quiet inner knowing that something is so. It is what you feel when you think of your own name. You don't get emotional about your name. You don't have to convince yourself that it's real. You simply know it. There is a feeling of truth attached to it, a feeling so subtle and so ordinary that you barely notice it. That is the feeling you must cultivate around your desire. Not excitement, not hope, not longing, but the deep, abiding sense that it is already done, that it is already true, that it is, in fact, so real that there is nothing to do but accept it. Let me give you an example. Imagine for a moment that you desire a new home. You've been living in a cramped apartment, and you long for space, for light, for a place that feels like yours. So you begin to visualize. You see yourself in this new home. You walk through the rooms. You picture the furniture, the windows, the view. And you do this every night before you sleep. But nothing happens. Weeks go by. Months go by. You keep visualizing. But the outer world does not shift. Why? Because you are thinking about the home. You are picturing it, yes, but you are picturing it as something you want, as something that exists in the future, as something separate from you. There is no feeling of reality in it. It's a fantasy. It's a pleasant daydream. And daydreams do not create. Now imagine instead that you lie down tonight, and you don't just picture the home. You feel yourself there. You feel the texture of the sheets on your bed in that home. You feel the coolness of the air coming through the window that you know is open. You hear the subtle sounds of that neighborhood, the sounds you would hear if you actually lived there. And as you do this, something shifts. It's no longer something you want. It's something you have. It's so real that your body responds as if you are actually there. Your breathing changes. Your muscles relax in a way they only relax when you are truly at home. And in that moment, in that feeling, you are no longer creating. You are simply accepting what already is. That is the feeling that creates. That is the feeling Neville pointed to again and again. He tells a story in one of his lectures, I believe it was from the early 1950s, about a woman who wanted to marry a specific man. This man had shown no interest in her. In fact, he was involved with someone else. But she came to Neville, and Neville gave her a very simple instruction. He told her to imagine every night before sleep that she was wearing a wedding ring. Not to imagine the wedding, not to imagine the proposal, just to feel the ring on her finger, to feel its weight, to feel its presence, to twist it absent-mindedly the way a married woman would. And he told her to do this until it felt natural, until it felt so real that she forgot she was imagining. She did exactly that. Night after night she felt the ring. She didn't think about whether it would work. She didn't analyze the man's behavior. She didn't wonder about the other woman. She simply felt the ring, and she fell asleep in that feeling. Within weeks, the outer circumstances began to shift in ways she could not have predicted. The other woman left. The man's attention turned toward her, and within a few months she was wearing that ring in the physical world. Now, what happened there? Did her thoughts create that ring in the physical world? Now, what happened there? Did her thoughts create that? No. Her thoughts would have kept her stuck in longing, in hoping, in waiting. It was the feeling, the felt reality of already being married that collapsed time and rearranged the outer world to match the inner fact. This is what Neville meant when he said, you must live in the end. He didn't mean you should pretend. He didn't mean you should pretend. He didn't mean you should fake it. He meant you must go to the end in consciousness, and you must feel what you would feel if it were already true. Not the excitement of getting it, not the relief of finally having it after a long wait, but the quiet, natural feeling of it simply being so. And that feeling, that assumption worn as naturally as you wear your own skin, is what creates. I tell you, you can sit and think for 100 years, and if there is no feeling, there is no creation. But give me one moment of true feeling, one moment where you are so absolutely identified with the state you desire, that there is no separation between you and it, and I will show you a world that must conform. Now let's go deeper into why this is true. Why is thinking not enough? Why must it be feeling? To understand this, you have to understand what Neville meant by consciousness. Consciousness is not your thoughts. Consciousness is not the chatter in your mind, the endless stream of words and images that runs through your head all day long. Consciousness is your state of being. It is what you are identified with. It is what you are identified with. It is what you feel yourself to be. And your state of being is always expressed in your body. Always. Your body is not separate from your consciousness. Your body is consciousness made visible. Every cell, every nerve, every breath is an expression of the state you are occupying in consciousness. When you are anxious, your body contracts, your shoulders tighten, your breathing becomes shallow. When you are at peace, your body opens, your muscles soften, your breath deepens. Your body always knows what state you are in. even when your mind is busy pretending otherwise. And it is your body, not your mind, that is in communication with the infinite creative power that Neville called God, that he called your own wonderful human imagination. When you think, you're operating in the realm of the mind, the realm of words and symbols and concepts. And that realm is limited. It is dualistic. It is the realm of subject and object, of you and the thing you want. But when you feel, when you allow the state to descend into your body, you move into a different realm. You move into the realm of being. And being is unified. In being, there is no separation. There is only what is, and woe is. And what is must be expressed. Neville understood this from his study of Scripture, from his own mystical experiences, and from years of testing and proving these principles. He knew that God, the creative power, does not respond to your thoughts. God responds to your assumptions, and an assumption is not a thought. An assumption is a state you occupy. It is something you feel yourself to be. And the moment you feel yourself to be something, the moment that feeling saturates your entire being, creation begins, not because you have convinced some external power to give you something, but because you have become the thing, and the outer world is simply the mirror reflecting back what you are. Let me say that again, because this is the heart of it. The outer world is not a separate thing that you are trying to manipulate with your thoughts. The outer world is you, pushed out. It is the shadow cast by your state of consciousness. And just as a shadow cannot be changed by manipulating the shadow, your outer world cannot be changed by manipulating your thoughts. You must change the state. You must change what you feel yourself to be. And the only way to change a state is to enter it, to occupy it, to feel it so completely that it becomes your natural dwelling place. Then, and only then, does the outer world shift. Not because you made it shift, not because you thought hard enough, but because there is a law, an immutable law, that states that consciousness is the only reality, and all outer facts are simply shadows cast by the light of your own I am. Neville talks about this in The Law and the Promise. He shares story after story of people who applied this principle not by thinking, but by feeling. A man who desired a specific job didn't think about the job. He didn't visualize the interview. He simply felt himself congratulated by a friend, felt the friend's hand on his shoulder, heard the words, "Congratulations, I knew you'd get it." And he looped that feeling until it felt real, until his body accepted it as fact. And within days, the job was his. A woman who wanted to heal her body didn't think about health. She didn't affirm, "I am healthy." She simply felt herself moving through her day with ease, felt the vitality in her limbs, felt the absence of pain, and her body, which is nothing more than consciousness made flesh, had no choice but to conform to that new assumption. These are not miracles. These are not exceptions. This is law. This is how it works. And it works the same for everyone, every time, without fail. But only if you move beyond thinking and into feeling. So how do you do that? How do you move the knowing from your head into your body? This is the practical question, and it's what we're going to address now. First, you must understand that your body is always in the present moment. Your mind can wander into the past or the future, but your body is always here, always now. And the present moment is the only point of power. Neville said it clearly. Now is the accepted time. Not tomorrow, not when conditions are right. Now. So if you want to create something, you must bring your awareness into your body, into this present moment, and you must allow your body to experience the reality of your desire as if it were true right now, not in the future, not as something coming, but as something that is. Here's how you begin. Tonight, when you lie down to sleep, don't start by visualizing. Don't start by thinking. Start by relaxing your body. Feel the weight of your body sinking into the bed. Feel the places where your body makes contact with the mattress. Feel the temperature of the air on your skin. Bring your full attention into your body, into the sensations of this present moment. This is crucial, because as long as you are in your head, as long as you are thinking about your body rather than feeling your body, you are still in the realm of thought. But when you drop into sensation, when you become aware of what your body is actually feeling right now, you move into the realm of being. and being is where creation happens. Now, once you are fully present in your body, you gently introduce the feeling of your wish fulfilled. And you do this not by picturing a scene far away, not by imagining something external, but by asking yourself a simple question. What would I feel in my body if this were already true? If I already had the relationship I desire? How would my body feel right now, lying here in this bed? If I already had the financial freedom I desire, how would my body feel right now? Would there be a sense of relief, of ease, of safety? Would my chest feel more open? Would my breath be deeper? Would there be a softness in my belly, a release of the constant tension that comes from striving and worrying? Find that feeling. It's subtle. It's not dramatic. It's not a rush of emotion. It's a quiet shift, a settling, a sense of things being right. And once you find it, stay there. Don't rush to the next thought. Don't start planning or analyzing. Just be in that feeling. Let your body remember what it feels like to be safe, to be loved, to be abundant, to be whole. As you rest in that feeling, you can allow a simple scene to form. But the scene is not the point. The scene is just a vehicle for the feeling. Neville often suggested imagining a scene that would naturally occur after your desire is fulfilled. Something simple, something sensory. If you desire a new home, imagine turning the key in the lock of your front door. Don't see yourself doing it from a distance. Be in your body. Feel the key in your hand. Feel the slight resistance as you turn it. Hear the click of the lock. Feel the door swing open. Step inside. Feel the floor beneath your feet. And as you do this, let the feeling deepen. The feeling that this is your home. The feeling of familiarity. The feeling of rightness. If you desire a relationship, imagine a moment of ordinary intimacy. Sitting beside them on the couch, hearing their voice, feeling their presence. Not the drama of a proposal or a first kiss, but the quiet, everyday reality of sharing your life with someone. And again, let the feeling lead. The scene is just a way to anchor the feeling into your body, to give your senses something to hold on to so that the feeling becomes real. Do this every night, not as a chore, not as a technique you're performing in the hope that it will work, but as a practice of returning to the truth, because the truth is, in consciousness, your desire is already fulfilled. The only question is whether you will accept it, whether you will accompany state, whether you will acquire to feel it as real. And the more you do this, the more natural it becomes. At first it might feel like pretending. It might feel like you're trying to convince yourself of something that isn't true. That's fine. Persist. Neville said, dare to assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Dare. It takes courage to assume something that the outer world is contradicting. It takes courage to assume something that the outer world is contradicting. It takes courage to feel loved when you are alone. But that courage is rewarded, because assumption, though false to the outer senses, will harden into fact if you persist. And persistence doesn't mean endless effort. It means returning again and again to the feeling. It means making the inner state more real to you than the outer circumstances. And as you do that, something shifts. The feeling stops being something you're creating, and starts being something you're creating, and starts being something you're recognizing. You realize that the state you're imagining is not a future possibility. It's a present reality in consciousness. And consciousness is the only reality. Neville often quoted scripture to illustrate this. He loved the words of Jesus. Therefore I say unto you, what things soever ye desire, when you pray, believe that you receive them, and you shall have them. Notice the tense. Believe that you receive them, not that you will receive them. That you receive them now in the act of praying. And what is prayer is not asking. Prayer is not asking. Prayer is not asking. Prayer is the act of assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled. It is feeling, in your body, in this present moment, that you already have what you desire. And the moment you feel it, the moment you believe it, in the sense of accepting it as true, it is done. It must then appear in the outer world, because the outer world is nothing but the shadow of your inner state. Let me give you another example, one that makes this unmistakably clear. There was a man, a student of Neville's, who wanted to move to a different city. He had no job lined up there. He had no contacts. By all outer reasoning, it was impossible. But he didn't think about how it would happen. He didn't make plans. He didn't try to figure out the bridge of incidents. Instead, every night, he lay in bed and he felt himself in that city. He didn't visualize the skyline. He didn't picture himself packing. He simply felt what it would lie in bed in that city. He imagined the sounds he would hear, the different quality of the air, the sense of being in a new place that was now home. And he did this with such consistency, with such feeling, that within weeks his entire life rearranged itself. An unexpected job offer came. An apartment became available. The move happened so smoothly, so naturally, that it felt inevitable. And when he looked back, he realized that he hadn't made it happen. He had simply assumed it was already true, and reality conformed. That is the power of feeling. That is what thought alone can never accomplish. Now I know what some of you are thinking. You are thinking, but I've tried to feel it, and nothing happened. And I'm going to tell you why. You didn't actually feel it. You thought about feeling it. You tried to feel it. You hoped you were feeling it. But you didn't surrender into it. You stayed in your head, monitoring yourself, checking to see if it was working, analyzing whether the feeling was strong enough. And all of that is thinking. Feeling requires letting go. It requires trust. It requires you to stop being the observer and become the experiencer. Neville said it beautifully. You must make your future dream a present fact by assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled. The feeling of the wish fulfilled is not a feeling you generate. It's a feeling you assume. You put it on like a garment. You wear it. You inhabit it. And you stop asking whether it fits. You just live in it. And living in it means allowing your body to feel it, moment by moment, until it becomes so natural that you forget you ever felt any other way. This brings me to the second part of what I want to share with you today. Once you understand that feeling is the secret, once you understand that creation happens in the body, not in the mind, the next question is, how do you sustain that feeling? How do you carry it with you throughout the day? Because it's one thing to feel it in the stillness of your room at night, in the controlled environment of your imagination. It's another thing to carry it with you into the world, into the circumstances that seem to contradict it. And this is where most people lose it. They do their imaginal act at night. They feel it. They believe it in that moment. And then they wake up, look around at the unchanged outer world, and immediately drop the state. They go right back to feeling lack, feeling frustration, feeling the absence of the thing they desire. And in doing so, they undo everything they built the night before. Neville was very clear about this. He said that you must remain faithful to the state. Faithfulness doesn't mean thinking about it all the time. It doesn't mean affirming constantly or visualizing throughout the day. It means you must not accept any other state as true. It means that when the outer world presents you with evidence of lack, you do not give it the authority to define your reality. You do not react from the old state. You remain in the new state, in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, no matter what the senses report. This is what he meant by living in the end. The end is not a future event. The end is a state of consciousness. It is the state of having, of being, of knowing. And you must live there, not as a mental exercise, but as a felt reality, even when the outer world has not yet caught up. Let me tell you how to do this practically. Throughout your day, whenever you notice yourself dropping into the old feeling, the feeling of lack or worry or frustration, stop. Don't judge yourself. Don't try to fight the feeling. Just stop. Bring your awareness into your body and ask yourself, what would I be feeling right now if my desire were already fulfilled? And then gently shift into that feeling. It might last only a few seconds. That's fine. You're not trying to hold on to it with effort. You're simply reminding yourself of the truth. You're re-entering the state. And the more often you do this, the more natural it becomes. Eventually, the new feeling becomes your baseline. It becomes the state you return to automatically. And when that happens, when the feeling of the wish fulfilled is more familiar to you than the feeling of lack, manifestation is inevitable. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And often it happens so quickly, so naturally, that you barely notice the shift. Neville tells a wonderful story in one of his lectures about a woman who wanted to marry. She had been single for years, and she was beginning to lose hope. Neville told her to assume the feeling of being a married woman, not to look for a man. not to go out and try to meet someone, but to simply feel in her body what it would feel like to be married, to wear the invisible ring, to hear herself referred to as Mrs., to feel the comfort and security of partnership. She did this faithfully. And one of the things she noticed was that as she sustained this feeling, her entire demeanor changed. She walked differently. She spoke differently. There was a confidence, a settledness about her that had not been there before. And within a short time, she met a man, and they married. But here's the important part. She didn't meet him because she was trying to meet him. She met him because she had become, in consciousness, a married woman, and the outer world simply reflected that inner fact. Her state created the circumstance. Her feeling drew the experience to her. That is law. So I'm telling you now, if you want to manifest anything at all, stop trying to think your way there. Stop trying to figure it out, plan it out, force it out. Instead, go within. Go into your body. Find a feeling of already being the person who has what you desire. Not the person who wants it. Not the person who hopes for it. The person who has it, who is it. And live there. Make that state your home. Neville said, you must be in the state to see the state. You cannot see wealth from poverty. You cannot see love from loneliness. You cannot see health from sickness. You must first enter the state in consciousness, in feeling, and then the outer world will show you what you have already claimed. Now I want to take you through a very specific practice, something you can do tonight, something that will allow you to experience this for yourself. This is not theory. This is not philosophy. This is a direct method for moving from thinking to feeling, from wanting to having. And if you do this sincerely, with real surrender and real trust, you will feel the shift. And once you feel the shift, you will know. You won't need me to convince you. You won't need P to convince you. You won't need proof from the outer world. You will know in your body that it is done. Begin by choosing one desire, not 10, not 5. 1. Something that matters to you. Something you have been thinking about, perhaps for a long time. It could be a relationship, a sum of money, a job, a home, a state of health. Whatever it is, choose it now. And as you choose it, let go of the how. Let go of any concern about whether it's possible, whether you deserve it, whether the circumstances allow for it. None of that matters. In consciousness, all things are possible. In consciousness, there is no past and no future, no lack and no limitation. There is only what you assume to be true. So assume this one thing to be true. Tonight, as you prepare for sleep, take a few moments to relax your body completely. Lie down in a comfortable position. Close your eyes. And begin to breathe slowly and deeply, in through your nose, out through your mouth. As you breathe, feel your body becoming heavier, softer, more relaxed. Feel the tension draining out of your shoulders, your neck, your jaw. Feel your legs becoming heavier. Feel your arms sinking into the bed. With each breath, you are letting go of the day. With each breath, letting go of effort, letting go of control. You are simply here, now in your body, in this moment. And this moment is the only moment that exists. When you are deeply relaxed, bring to mind the desire you have chosen. But don't think about it. Don't picture it as something outside of you. Instead, ask yourself, if this were already true, what would be different about this moment? How would my body feel right now if this were already accomplished? Would there be a sense of peace, of relief, of joy, of safety? Find that feeling. It's not something you have to create. It's something you allow. It's already there, underneath the thinking, underneath the worry. It's the feeling you would naturally have if there were nothing left to want, nothing left to wait for. Find it, and let it fill your body. Let it soften your chest. Let it deepen your breath. Let it relax your face. This is the state you are entering. Now from within this feeling, imagine a short scene, something simple and natural, that implies your desire is already fulfilled. Neville always emphasized that the scene should imply fulfillment. It should be something that could only happen if your desire were already real. If your desire is financial freedom, you might imagine a friend congratulating you on your success. You might imagine yourself looking at a bank statement and feeling calm satisfaction. If your desire is a relationship, you might imagine lying beside someone, hearing their breathing, feeling their warmth. If your desire is health, You might imagine a doctor telling you that you are perfectly well, or you might simply imagine moving through your day with ease and vitality. Choose one scene. Make it short, no more than a few seconds. And make it short, no more than a few seconds. And make it sensory. You must feel it, hear it, touch it in your imagination. Now loop this scene. Play it over and over in your mind, but not mechanically. Each time you loop it, let the feeling deepen. Let your body respond as if it were actually happening. Feel your heart respond. Feel your skin respond. Feel your skin respond. Feel your skin respond. Feel the subtle shifts in your breathing, in your muscles, in the quality of your presence. You are not watching this scene. You are in it. You are living it. And as you live it, the boundary between imagination and reality begins to dissolve. You stop asking whether it's real. You stop wondering if it's working. You simply rest in the experience. And at some point you drift off to sleep, still feeling it, still living in that scene, still occupying that state. That is the moment of creation. That is the moment of you plant the seed. And everything that follows, all the outer events, all the so-called miracles, are simply the harvest of that seed. Do this every night, not with training, but with quiet, confident persistence. Neville said, persist until the state feels natural. And when it feels natural, when the feeling of having is more familiar to you than the feeling of wanting, you will know that it is done. You won't need to check the outer world for confirmation. You will feel it in your body. You will know it in your bones. And shortly after that, the outer world will reflect it. It has to. It is law. I want to pause here and address something that often comes up when people begin to work with feeling rather than thinking. They say, but I don't know how to feel something I've never felt before. How can I feel wealthy if I've never been wealthy? How can I feel loved if I've never been loved? And the answer is simple. You have felt it before. Maybe not in the exact form you desire, but you have felt the essence of it. You have felt at some point in your life a moment of peace, a moment of joy, a moment of safety, a moment of connection. And that feeling, that essence, is what you are returning to. Wealth is not about money. Wealth is the feeling of freedom, of sufficiency, of being taken care of. Love is not about another person. Love is the feeling of freedom, of sufficiency, of being taken care of. Love is not about another person. Love is the feeling of being seen, of being valued, of being held. Health is the feeling of vitality, of ease, of being at home in your body. These feelings are already within you. They are part of your consciousness. All you are doing is choosing to occupy them, to dwell in them, to let them become your dominant state. And as you do, the specific forms, the money, the person, the healed body will appear, because form always follows feeling. Always. Neville knew this deeply. He knew that we are not creating something out of nothing. We are selecting from an infinite field of possibilities. Every possible state already exists in consciousness. The version of you that is wealthy already exists. The version of you that is loved already exists. The version of you that is loved already exists. The version of you that is healthy, successful, fulfilled already exists. And all you have to do is enter that version, feel what that version feels, and live from that state. That is how you move from one reality to another, not by trying to change the outer world, but by changing the inner state. And the inner state is changed through feeling, not through thought. Let me take you deeper now into the mystical side of this teaching, because this is not just about getting things. This is not just about getting things. This is not just about manifesting a better life, although that is a wonderful and natural expression of this law. This is about who you truly are. Neville taught that you are not a body. You are not a personality. You are not even a human being in the way you have been taught to think of yourself. You are consciousness. You are the infinite creative power that men have called God, expressing itself as an individual. And the body you wear, the life you live, the world you see, all of it is your own consciousness pushed out. It is the objectification of your inner state. So when you change the state, when you move from thinking to feeling, from wanting to having, you are not manipulating some external reality. You are simply waking up to a different level of your own being. You are recognizing that you are the creator, and you have been creating all along. The only question is whether you have been creating consciously or unconsciously. Most people create unconsciously. Most people create unconsciously. Most people create unconsciously. They inhabit states of lack, fear, resentment, worry, and then they wonder why their life reflects those states back to them. They think the outer world is doing something to them. They think they are victims of circumstance. But Neville tells you the truth. You are not a victim. You are the operant power. You are the one imagining. And whatever you imagine, whatever you imagine, and whatever you imagine, whatever you imagine, whatever you feel to be true, must and will become your reality. That is not a promise. That is not a belief. That is a statement of fact. Consciousness is the only reality, and the moment you accept that, the moment you take full responsibility for your state, you become free. You stop waiting for the world to change. You stop hoping that conditions will improve. You stop looking outside yourself for validation or permission or opportunity. You go within. You assume the state you desire. You feel it, and you let the world catch up. This is what it means to be awake. This is what it means to be a conscious creator. And I tell you, once you experience this, once you prove to yourself that you can change your reality by changing your state, you will never see the world the same way again. You will walk through life with a quiet certainty, a deep knowing that nothing is impossible to you. Because you are not limited by the outer world, you are not bound by the past, you are not subject to the laws of time and space in the way you thought you were. You are not consciousness, and consciousness can assume any state, any reality, at any time. And whatever it assumes, it becomes. Neville would often say, the world is yourself pushed out. Let that sink in. Not the world is influenced by you, not the world responds to you. The world is you. There is no separation. The person you see, the circumstances you encounter, the events that unfold, all of it is your own consciousness, externalized. So when you judge another, you judge yourself. When you fear another, you fear yourself. And when you bless another, when you assume the best for another, you bless yourself. There is only one consciousness, and you are it. So if you want to change your world, change yourself. Not your behavior, not your actions. Change your state. Change what you feel yourself to be. And watch the world dissolve and reshape itself around the new assumption. This is why Neville insisted so strongly that you must feel, not just think, because thought keeps you in the illusion of separation. Thought keeps you as the observer, the one who is separate from the world, trying to control it, trying to fix it, trying to get something from it. But feeling collapses the separation. Feeling unites you with your desire. Feeling makes you one with the thing you are imagining. And in that oneness, there is no distance, no time, no delay. There is only presence. There is only now. And in the now, all things are already accomplished. So as we come toward the end of this time together, I want to leave you with this. You cannot think your way to a manifestation because thinking keeps you outside the experience. Thinking keeps you in the state of wanting. But feeling brings you inside. Feeling makes you the thing itself. And when you are the thing, when you feel yourself to be the thing, the outer world has no choice but to confirm it. That is the law. That is the promise. And that is your power. And that is your power. Tonight when you lie down to sleep, remember this. Don't think about what you want. Feel what it would be like to have it. And not just once, not just tonight, but every night, until the feeling is more real to you than the absence of the thing in the outer world. Until the feeling is so natural that you stop monitoring it, stop questioning it, stop waiting for proof, until you simply know. And when you know, when you feel it in your body as an established fact, you will look around one day and realize that the outer world has shifted. Not because you forced it, not because you worked for it, but because you assumed it, you felt it, and consciousness, being the only reality, had no choice but to make it so. You are not powerless. You are not at the mercy of circumstance. You are the creator of your reality, and you create through assumption, and assumption is not thought. Assumption is feeling. It is the state you occupy in your body, in your being, in this present moment. So occupy the state you desire. Feel yourself to be what you long to be. And dare to remain faithful to that feeling, no matter what the world shows you. Because I promise you, if you remain faithful, the world will change. It must. That is the law. Go now and prove it to yourself. Not because I said so, not because Neville said so, but because it is the truth of your own being. You are consciousness. You are the operant power. And whatever you assume, whatever you feel to be true, will harden into fact. That is your inheritance. That is your inheritance. That is your power. Claim it, feel it, and live from it, starting tonight.